Okay. Hi, welcome to our podcast. I'm Amanda,
I'm Avery.
and today we're going to be discussing the movie The Florida Project and related to our class on child and family studies.
So the movie was really interesting, and me and Amanda were saying how it's something that we really didn't know happened in everyday life.
Yeah, it was just really surprising to see the kind of things that happen in places that you go to all the time and you don't even notice.
Yeah. So first we wanted to talk about the community that the movie's focused on a young girl, Moni, and they live across from Disneyland at a motel with her mother. And her community first consists of her mom, Haley, and she's kind of an absent parent.
She well, in the movie, they're all living in this motel. It's called the Purple Place.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of families that are living there illegally because they're not supposed to have long residencies.
Yeah.
But the manager allows them to live there, and just has them pay rent. Like there was one guy that was paying $1,000 a month. To live there in a room. But we're gonna talk about the community around Moni, which is like the main character.
So like with her mom, we were saying she's an absent parent. She was working at a strip club when the movie first started, and then she ended up getting fired from the strip club. Later on, she had to like sell things, and she babysat for free food, but that wasn't working out for her, and so she ended up having to be a sex worker or a prostitute. And this created a really unsafe environment for Moni. She was around alcohol and drugs and swearing. Her mom really wasn't supervising her. And then again, with her being a sex worker, there was sexual activity going on while Moni was there.
Yeah.
And this is really the only role model that Moni had in her life.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because at the beginning of the movie, Holly, which is Moni's mom, the whole reason why she got fired from the strip club was because she didn't want to go work in the back and become a sex worker. And it's funny how at the end of the movie, she actually has to be a sex worker in order to provide food and provide shelter for her daughter. And even though she's not, you wouldn't really have her as like the role model for like moms. Like if you watch the movie, you would really think that she's a really unfit mother. But at the end of the day, she's really trying her best with what she has. We don't know much about her background, but based on what we see, she usually spends her time just not going to work, using weed, drinking alcohol, and she doesn't really know how to regulate her emotions. She gets into fights, swears in front of Moni all the time. At one point, she even beats up one of Moni's friend's mom in front of her.
Who had been providing for them.
But it was really interesting just to see that there's people that are actually living in motels, which I wouldn't have thought about, and especially that they're in front of Disney World.
Yeah.
And, you know, they go to these other resorts where the people that go to Disney World are staying in, and you can see the difference from their motel, the Purple Place, and then you go and see the resorts that people are staying in. Like, they have food, and it's just such a big difference, even though they're all in the same place.
It seems like it's like just out of reach for them, and I think that was like a big topic of the movie, that like the grass is always greener, and they can like see the people going to Disney World and stuff, and like how it could be.
Yeah. So some of the other like community that Moni had was Bobby, Jancy, Scotty, and Ashley. So we have Bobby, which was the manager. He was kind of the protector of all the children that lived there. He really tried to shelter them from their parents. Just tried to not have them really hear all the fights, all the swearing, and try to just provide shelter for them. Because sometimes some of the parents will not be able to pay, but he would still find ways to kind of help them in a way. He even protected the children when an older man came in and was trying to talk to them, because this man knew that the children were unsupervised. And he kind of just took the opportunity, and he just drove him out. And he was just always there, even though he didn't really seem like he cared, but in reality, he really did care for the children.
he was kind of the, like you had said, like, he's kind of really the only structure that they have. So even if he seems like the mean, like, old manager, it was, like, because he was trying to have the children's best interest. And, like, that was the only actual adult that was paying attention, like you were saying.
Yeah. So we also have the friends, Mooney's friends, that are around the same age. Mooney's, like, 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
They're not in school right now because it was during the summer. But we have Jency and Scotty, which are, like, her best friends.
Yeah.
Jency is, like, the only girl friend that Mooney has. And she's kind of her escape. It's, like, her escape from reality.
I also think her friends, since they all live in the motel, for Moni, it doesn't seem like she has a bad life.
Yeah.
To her, living in a motel and, like, being unsupervised and running around and getting into trouble
It's normal.
Is normal because, yeah, her only peers are doing the same things as her.
Yeah. And then we also had Ashley, which is Scotty's mom. Ashley's actually the one that provides the food for Moni. So in exchange for giving them food, Haley, Moni's mom, takes care of her child, Scotty.
Yeah.
But we say take care, but she doesn't really take care of them because she just leaves them unsupervised and just lets them do whatever they want.
And that ended up, like we were saying before, Moni's mom got into a fight with Ashley, a fist fight, because she was not watching the kids when she was supposed to be, and that stopped them from receiving food from Ashley. And eventually that's why her mom became a sex worker.
Yeah. So we're just going to talk a little bit about just the adult supervision. We think it's just really important to talk about it. It was just really interesting to see how the children were just left unsupervised for most of the time. They could just wander around everywhere. And we're talking about a place where there's a lot of people. It's Disney World. You know, there's a lot of parks. There's, like, alligators as well around the place.
Yeah, there's, like, the highways right there. So many people from out of state that could just, like, snatch the kids.
Yeah. Like, the children spend their time, like, playing with animals and going to abandoned places and basically just trying to scam tourists so like, they can get money and buy ice cream. Which, by the way, they buy one ice cream and share between the 3 of them. But yeah, the supervision is just definitely not there.
And like we had said before, like when they were being supervised, Moni's mom or other adults, like there were swearing, there was drugs, alcohol, there was violence when like Haley had beat up Ashley.
Yeah, right in front of the child. She didn't get that he was
and
there.
then when Moni was home, so that's when she was being supervised, she had to stay in the bathroom while her mom was being a sex worker in the next room. And so, like, that was her whole life. And so, like, it almost was better sometimes that she wasn't supervised and she could run around with her friends instead of being locked in the room with her mom.
Yeah, and it's just, like, so interesting to see how, like, Moni didn't really notice what her mom was doing. And the whole reason why Haley was even doing sex work in her room was because she didn't have any more food for Moni.
Like, she's doing it to support Moni, not trying to hurt her.
It was just, like, her last kind of resort just to kind of provide for her, just because she didn't have any other options. And that's the whole reason why DCF comes in.
Yeah, exactly. So when DCF comes, it's after she had gotten into the fight, and she was sex working, she had no food. And when DCF comes, they don't really have a great interaction. She's very defensive. She's not, which is understandable. They're saying that they're going to take her child away and put her into foster care. But we were talking about DCF's role and that they're not really providing help for Haley to be a good mother, to help her, like, get a real job, get a real, like, stable environment for Moni.
They just kind of give them, like you said, like an ultimatum. And just like, okay, you have to have food for her, you have to provide shelter, you need all these things. But at no point do they say, here are some resources for you, like, here's where you can find a job. Like,
or like food stamps, WIC, we were saying, like, welfare or housing, Section 8 housing, like all of these things that are built to help people in need. And they weren't providing that. And as we know, like, from before, she would have already done it if she knew those things were around.
Yeah.
But she didn't know. Like, there was no community outreach.
And I feel like it was a really good representation of really what DCF is. Like, yeah, they're trying to protect the child, but I think that it just ends up being a really traumatic experience. Like, we see it with Moni. She's crying. She runs away because she doesn't want to be separated from her mom. Yeah. Like, at the beginning, they're like, oh, no, you're just going to be here. You're going to be really happy. Yeah. Like, we're going to have food for you. But they don't really tell her that she's going to go to another family. And when she finds out, she keeps telling them she doesn't want to leave. She wants to stay with her mom. She wants to go back to her room.
Her mom's all she has, like, her whole life. That's her only other family member.
That's all she knew. And that really makes her, like, lose her trust on adults because she keeps telling them she doesn't want to go. And at the end, she just runs away. Yeah. And you can really see how DCF, like, I get it, they're trying to help. Yeah. But they just end up separating families, and I feel like
it was just the wrong approach.
Yeah, instead of doing that, they should try to, like, keep families together and just provide the support so that they can actually give them a good life, you know?
And like Amanda had said earlier, like, way in the beginning, yes, her mom's a sex worker and they, like, struggled a lot, but everything she's doing is trying to help Moni and trying to better their situation. She doesn't want to be a sex worker. She doesn't want to be a stripper, but she has to do that to get food and money. She's not abusing her child. Obviously, everybody, there's room for improvement, but I think that, like Amanda was just saying, that's the hard part because Moni could have a good life with her mom if her mom just had better support. And her taking her away, that's not making her mom, like, yeah, it does probably encourage her. She wants to see her daughter, but she doesn't know where to go. If she knew where to go, her life wouldn't be this way. And I think, like, that's what's the hard part.
Yeah. I mean, the whole reason why she's at the Purple Place, I think, is because she does have a support there, which is Bobby. Because Bobby tries to find ways just to help them have a place where they can stay. Like, even when Bobby's boss was telling him that, like, they couldn't have people be living there for, like, that long. He was moving them around, like, every day. Like, okay, we're going to this room, this other room, so that his boss wouldn't notice that they were staying there for so long. He even had a whole thing with other motels where they could go and stay and give them a discount. So, of course, she was staying there. It was the only support that she ever had. You know, it was the only person that really cared about her. Yeah. And nobody else really did.
Yeah. And I think that, like we had said, everybody, well, especially when you watch the movie, you see her as a bad mom and a bad person. And I think, like you're saying, Bobby's the only person who supported her, but also could see that she was trying. And I think, like, that was the only person who kind of gave her hope that, like, she could be better.
Yeah. And, like, we kind of, we just want to talk a little bit about things that we think could have helped both Haley and Moni to stay together and to have a better life. In our class, we had a lot of guest speakers that talked about community resources that they provide for people in need. Just things like, you know, summer programs, the Boys and Girls Club, where the children can just go there and they take care of them. Yeah,
and that gives, like, Haley room to have, like, that's free childcare where she can maybe go get a different job and not have to watch Moni.
Yeah, but not at any point did we ever see, like, any kind of, like, community outreach or anybody that, like, was there to help them. A lot of the times, these people, they don't really know where to go. So, like you were saying, community outreach is so important so that people can know the things that they can have access to. Yeah, definitely. Like access to housing, welfare, or food stamps.
When we had the speaker in class not that long ago, he was saying that he helps families food for the week or giving them different housing for emergency housing, like things like that, where even if they just had a week of a different housing and, like, food, that would make such a difference. But, like, they just don't know what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, being an adult is really hard, and trying to find a job, especially when you already have kids, it can be really stressful. Yeah. And I think that, you know, like, Holly was, you know, doing drugs and drinking, but we don't really know what her story is, what she went through, what her education is, and we didn't really see any kind of support for her. Yeah. So I feel like we shouldn't really be judging her. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, she was trying to do her best with the tools that she had and with the things that she knew. She didn't really have any help to tell her, like, hey, you know, here's where you can go get a job. Yeah. here, like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this in front of Moni.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
don't do drugs in front of her. So a lot of the times people just do this kind of things just because it's the only thing they know.
And we had like, I don't know if I said it, you said it, but our whole class is about when we started the podcast talking about like communities and families. And I think that this movie was a great example about the community that they had and what her life could have been like if she had the support that she needed. And I think it was important to watch because going into like you work with children now and seeing their lives, it's like now you can use these tips of watching like how a child's life could be and how you could use these things to support that family if like you think that something is going on or that they don't have enough food. And in the beginning, like watching it was a great movie, but it was very shocking to see that people really do live this way every day.
Yeah, because you can really see the inequality that there is. You have people that are going to Disney World, which is very expensive. There was this one guy that had like wristbands to go to Disney World, and he said that they were like $1,700.
Yeah.
And
people are going every year.
Yeah, people are going every year. And then on the other side of the highway, you have all these people that are literally living in motels day by day, who can barely afford food.
Yeah.
And it's just like this disparity between two different worlds.
Definitely.
Where, you know, if people had the opportunity, maybe they could do better.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I was really good watching. I think that it was great to connect it to our class. And I think it's also great, like, it shows us our privilege and the privilege that we have and how we can use that to support people.
Yeah, and it really shows the importance of, you know, having community support, having programs out there to help people. Like, sometimes you really think, like, oh, why is there even a program for this?
Yeah.
But you don't really know what people are going through. And at the end of the day, like, having community centers, community programs, it's essential for people to be able to have a better life, to be able to do good.
Absolutely.
You know, not everybody has the privilege of being born with money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that, you know, it's really eye-opening to see that there are things that are happening, you know, right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
Because you're going to Disney World, you're like, oh my God, it's magical. Like, I'm going to go on my vacation, spend money. And a lot of the times you don't really see the reality behind all of that, you know? So it was really eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed it. I think that's all we have for you guys today.
I hope
Thanks
you
for
enjoy
listening.
it.
Yeah.